Hi there. I wanted to share with you a video about our Peter's banded skinks. We've had loads of requests about the skinks and the fact that we had success breeding them last year. We've got a pair of babies and they're doing fantastic. They hatched more than 6 months ago and they're doing really well. And this is the mother of the skinks that we had. But the requests we've had is on how we brumated them. I do feel like that was a big factor in the success of us breeding the skinks. So starting off, you need to think of when you're deciding to brumate them. It doesn't have to be the same time of year. Obviously, different people live in different countries, different environments, and just what works for you. And that's a point. This is what worked for us, is what I'm telling you. It doesn't mean it's right for everyone, but it definitely worked for us in breeding our skinks and brumating them. So yeah, for us, we started in November last year in the brumation cycle. And if you just remember that, start with, you do it in stages. So you don't want to go from a nice warm environment, getting fed, to just turning everything off. Because an important point is that sadly, animals do die in brumation. So you need to be careful with them, know what's going on there with them, and take steps to minimize that risk, because it is a dangerous thing to brumate them. It is a natural thing and keeps them in their cycle that they would do in the natural environment, but you need to take some steps to do it properly. So with us, what we did is we first dropped the light down to probably maybe 2/3 the light that it had originally. Just drop the time down. So let's say you had it on for I don't know, most people would have it maybe an 8-hour cycle, 12-hour cycle. Drop it down to like 6 hours, or maybe down closer to maybe 4 hours for the first week. So you're dropping that light cycle down for them, and they're noticing that. Then in the next probably week 2 to week 3, you're dropping the temperature down as well. Drop it down 2 to 3 degrees, 3 to 4 degrees, just that little bit, so they're dropping off. And during this whole time, in the section where you've got the light for that first week, important is that you've stopped feeding them. Before you start this, you've stopped feeding the little guys, so that they don't have that in their gut rotting away when they're brumating. Worst case scenario is that they fed and they're cold and their digestive system is not working, clearing that through them. Turned down the lighting. When you've turned the temperature down for that week 2 to week 3, the lighting goes off then. So they've had that 1 week, no food, gives them a chance to clear it through their digestive system, and the temperatures drop that little bit more when the light is off completely, week 2 and week 3. So they've gone 3 weeks with it dropping all the way down until, let's say, into week 3 or week 4, however you want to work it, that you then turn it off and they're kept at room temperature. So the light's off completely, the temperature's off completely now, and you're just going to monitor them for 2 to 3 months. And looking at this one, it's a really good size, a really good weight. We've had this for about 2 years, maybe a little longer, this Peter's banded skink, and she's absolutely gorgeous, healthy as can be. You can see how lovely and shiny her coat is, and that's what you're looking for when you're brumating these animals, is a really good healthy animal. Look how the shiny the coat, the scales are. Nice black colour, nice build to it. So during that time, 2 to 3 months that you're brumating them, monitor them. So don't just forget about them, monitor them so that you're watching their weights. Occasionally take them out and weigh them. You don't want to disturb them too much because you don't want to kick them into being active again. And keep an eye on them. I would say visually, you're watching them, just seeing what they're doing. Watching them to see how active they are. Their activity should drop right down. I mean, they're more active at night anyway, but during the daytime, they should be pretty much not active at all because you're not feeding them, so they've got no reason to come out when there's any daylight there at all. But keep an eye on them for 2 to 3 months, and then once you've come to the end of that brumation period, just simply reverse the cycle. So you're going slowly increasing the heat up that level for the first, let's say, week to 2 weeks. You're putting that temperature up and bringing the light in as well then for a time period, and then increasing it up to your full time period over week 2 and then week 3. And I wish you all the success in that, and they'll be really good. I want to give you an example of a Peter's banded skink that we got probably about 2 weeks ago, and just show you the difference. Obviously, they're not in together. I'm keeping them separate. But this little guy is a sad looking little guy. He's okay. Joe took the other one, but just to show you this a bit more closely, you can see the spine line down the back of this. We've had it for about 2 weeks. Sadly, the majority you see in pet shops are in a bit of state like this. There's a bit of scarring on the scales there, and you can see he's just not as settled with me as that other one was. I would not be brumating this year at all. I would give it a good long time until it loses these signs of just not being that healthy. I mean, look, there's poo sticking to him there. He's just not a happy creature, but I'm pretty sure we can get it back to really good healthy animal. But because they're wild caught, sadly they do come in like this rather than lovely, chunky, healthy captive bred animals. But yeah, wouldn't try and breed this. This is not an animal you would want to breed in the next year or brumate this year. So there's that one. Okay, so I've used alcohol gel and cleaned my hands between handling that newly introduced one into our pack, which is kept separate all the time, and this one that we've had for a couple of years. And if you look here, this is the mother, who's looking lovely and chunky, ready for brumation, which we're about to start. And this is one of the babies, one of the 2 babies. Just looking at the size difference here. And look at how healthy this looks. How nice and chunky this little baby is. It's looking really fantastic. They're doing so well. That's about 6 months old, that baby. And that's the mother. They're kept separate. We're not putting them in together either. So again, I'd like to just wish you all the success in breeding Peter's banded skinks. Absolutely fantastic, chilled out animals. When you have one like this, sitting on your hand, content as can be, it's absolutely brilliant. And they're fascinating animals. But I wish you success in brumation and breeding in the future.